Well, hello and welcome back to the answers. So I'm assuming, look at this, you've had a go at the quiz. Let's see how well you've done. Okay, first of all, which megastar of the decade has compared himself to Jimi Hendrix, Steve Jobs, Michelangelo, Socrates and Willy Wonka, amongst many others? The answer is Kanye West, of course. The same man who stood up at Glastonbury and told the crowd they were watching the greatest rock star of all time. Now, plenty of albums of his in the 2010s to have a look at. This one, Kids See Ghosts, which actually isn't released in some ways as a Kanye West album, but is his, worth maybe having a go at, but then pretty much all of his in the 2010s are worth having a crack at. Okay, who co-wrote and co-performed the track 4-5 Seconds with Rihanna and Kanye West in 2015? There's that man again. It was Paul McCartney. You knew I'd get a Beatles reference in somewhere, as always. And Paul McCartney has released a few albums in the 2010s. I'm going to recommend to you their Egypt Station, a very interesting collection that I enjoy very much. Egypt Station. Okay, which band caused a furore by giving their album away for free and without choice on iTunes in 2014? That, of course, was U2 with their album Songs of Innocence, which again, there's the album cover. You can feel free to check out. As a bit of a U2 fan in the past myself, a bit disappointed I found it, as well as the Songs Experience that also came afterwards. Okay, back to another trivia question. Blurred Lines. It was the estate of Marvin Gaye, and it's worth checking out the sound, the sound of the song that it's connected to. Is it Got to Get Your Love or something like that? It's pretty close. Even my my 7-year-old daughter spotted the similarity pretty quickly. And if we're going to promote anything from there, there's Pharrell did do a an album called Girl, which had mixed reviews, but maybe worth checking out. There's always something good with Pharrell, isn't there? Pharrell. Okay, which was the musical containing these songs? It was Hamilton, and as I said before, as the first hip-hop musical, certainly something that may well be a contender for some of you. If you're looking at the best albums of 2010, worth a try. Of course, you can always watch it on Disney Plus if you have that as well. Right, so name that album. The little things here. Right, did you get these? Number 6, To Pimp a Butterfly. 2 pigs, you see. A cartoon pimp, essentially, a cartoon version of a pimp, and a butterfly. A wonderful, wonderful album from Kendrick Lamar that if you have not heard, I strongly recommend you do. And if you have heard, listen to it again. Really quite something spectacularly different. Random Access Memories, the Daft Punk album, a random choice there, you see, an access ramp, and a man looking back on his memories. Okay, another great album from Daft Punk. Maybe not quite up to the level of some in the previous decade, but still a fantastic record. Now, here's one that has its, well, certainly has its promoters, shall we say, fans. Sigh No More. A little bit of Oliver there asking for more to go with it. Sigh No More by, of course, Mumford and Sons. Mega hit of its time, and again, one very popular with a lot of people. Okay. The lyrics. Right, so number 9 was from Uptown Funk, of course. I'm too hot, Call a police and a fireman too hot. Make a dragon want to retire. Man. I'll let you off if you didn't get the man bit at the end, although, of course, it's a very feeble attempt at rhyming. I have to say, if one of my students attempted that, I'd throw it back in their face probably. But there you go. Uptown Funk. Number 10, a bit of Taylor Swift there for you. My ex-man brought his new girlfriend. She's like, oh my God, but I'm just going to shake it. Shake it off. Of course, massive hit for her. Number 11. 2 plus 2 is 4, minus 1, that's 3. Quick maths. The fantastic parody by Big Shaq there. Number 12. It ain't my fault that I'm out here getting loose. Gotta blame it on the goose. Gotta blame it on the juice. Juice by Lizzo. And there's potentially 4 albums there to look at. I can't imagine an album of Big Shaq, A Man's Not Hot, is really going to be great. I mean, that song is very funny, isn't it? I could have given most of the lyrics there. Something worth thinking about. On the left there, we've got Uptown Special, I think it's called, from my brain goes sometimes, from the other one who wasn't Bruno Mars, Mark Ronson. There's 1989 by Taylor Swift, which Shake It Off comes from, and there's Lizzo being provocative on the front of her album. Okay. The connections, number 13. What's the connection between these 4? Well, Taylor Swift released an album called Red in 2012. Frank Ocean released Channel Orange in 2012. You can see where this is going already. For Tet, he released Pink in 2012 as well. And just to break the 2012 line here, the wonderful David Bowie with the absolutely outstanding Black Star 2016. The other albums aren't bad, and that even the Taylor Swift one, if you haven't heard it, it's a fair collection of pop songs. But Black Star, what an album Black Star is! If you haven't listened to it, please do repeatedly. Okay, comeback albums. Right, the first one was definitely the hardest, I think. There, Whistle Down the Wind was a comeback for Joan Baez. First down for us in 20 years, I think. The next day, I would imagine many of us knew, was David Bowie's comeback about 10 years after Reality. 16, The Weather Diaries was a comeback for Ride. That was since 93, was it the last one? 95? Encore was a comeback by the Specials. Well, in name anyway. Personally, for me, if you don't have Jerry Dammers in there, it's not the Specials. But there you are. The Fun Boy 3 crew basically got together and recorded that. And then this is a rather good album too. We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service. A Tribe Called Quest coming back out of nowhere. I'm doing very well with it as well. Okay. So the picture round. Don't know how well you did with this. Well, what have we got here? We got Sia, the angel-voiced Australian who doesn't like to show her face very much. Number 20, a bit of a two-hit wonder, shall we say, although most people only remember the one now, is Psy, of course, the proponent of Gangnam Style. 21, one of the most successful artists of the 2010s overall, Calvin Harris. His number 1 count is pulling up close on the Beatles, I think, at the moment. 22 is the beautifully voiced Lana Del Rey. A number of her albums worth checking out in the 2010s. Born to Die, I think, probably is the best of them. 23 is the incredibly talented Kay Tempest. I would strongly recommend you to check her out. Halfway between spoken voice and rap. And the only person, this could have been a trivia question, the only person certainly of under 2010s who's won a major poetry award as well has been nominated for the Mercury Prize. Let Them Eat Chaos. If you're going to start somewhere, Let Them Eat Chaos. Quite fabulous. worth reading as well as listening to. 24 is Cardi B. No, I wouldn't have recognised her either, but she is, if you haven't heard of her, she is a mammoth superstar at the moment. Absolutely huge. 25 is Kendrick Lamar, the genius that is Kendrick Lamar, who again has a swathe of albums across the 2010s worth listening to. Okay, then back into the second half that we had here, the album covers. Okay, I'm sure many of you got that this was Arcade Fire and the Suburbs. And he's back again. Yes, this is Kanye West. Probably, I mean, I would think maybe the album of his in the 2010s that is most commonly thought of as the strongest. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I'd probably think it's the strongest too, to be honest. Album covers again. Wow, it's the Arctic Monkeys with Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. Probably I'd again say that their weakest album of the 2010s, maybe. Certainly nothing to the Imperious AM, which is a really quite spectacularly good album. Then we have Björk and Vulnicura. If you have not checked this out, it is definitely worth it. Fabulous album from 2018, I think. And the last one, quite tough there. Jamie XX, who I believe is from the XX, hence why he called himself that, and In Colour. Okay, on to Name That Tune, and the performance of a lifetime from me on the electric piano. Well, let's start with number 31. The first one I played you was Get Lucky. It was, I promise you. 32 was Chandelier by Sia. Okay, cracking song. 33 was the ubiquitous Let It Go from Frozen. 34 was Old Town Road, which I believe broke all kinds of records for staying at number one for an amount of time in the US in 2019. And 35, probably the hardest to get from my obscure playing of it, was Human by Rag and Bone Man. Name that album. Well, the 2011 Mercury Prize winner was Let England Shake by PJ Harvey. Again, another absolute classic. The album released an accompanying film with all its guest appearances, and Becky with the Good Hair was Lemonade by Beyonce. Very, very good album, and really not Jay-Z's finest hour to have something like that reported to him. There you are. Goodness me, why would you be unfaithful? You've got Beyonce, mate. Anyway, 38, name that album. A Manchester band, you can hear the rains back here. A Manchester band, their sophomore second album in 2016, topping the charts in the UK, in USA with those album tracks, is the incredibly pretentiously named I Like It When You Sleep For You Are So Beautiful Yet So Unaware of It by the 1975. The connections for number 39 between Scott Walker, Mark Hollis, Ray Manzarek and Marquis Smith is a very sad fact, of course, that they all passed on this decade. Yes, of course, Whitney Houston as well, Prince, and of course, the wonderful Bowie. But these four all went, in many cases, very soon after recording material as well. Into the second batch of trivia. What was the biggest selling album of the decade? It was 21 by Adele, which sold over 30 million copies, I think, in various different forms. Quite astonishing. The only album of the 21st century that has achieved that. Quite amazing. And again, the top selling, well done, Adele. Top selling in America as well and across the world. And of course, the second biggest selling album of the decade was 25 by Adele. She completely swooped and completely dominated the decade in terms of sales. 19 wasn't a huge way back down in a lot of countries as well. And of course, if you're want to big up the UK, Ed Sheeran then followed behind with another couple of albums. Which song equalled Wet Wet Wet's record for the second most weeks at number one on the modern chart in 2016? It was One Dance by Drake. Oh, dear me. Drake. I don't get Drake. I have to tell you, I don't get him at all. An absolute megastar, and people adore his music. But to me, I don't know, maybe I'm just old. It sounds like a very bored man with an 80s Casio keyboard on. Never mind. Which artist provided 9 of the UK's top 10 singles on that date? It was Ed Sheeran, and if you remember, famously they called him up, and he pretty much said, "Well, that's ridiculous, isn't it?" If you don't like Ed Sheeran, fair play to him at least for that. 9 out of the 10 singles. Even the Beatles never managed that. Legacy the download age, I suppose. Okay, cover versions. Who covered The Sound of Silence? It was Disturbed, if you remember that kind of death metal sound to the singing. Everyone went mad about with it. I don't think much of it myself, but there you are. 45, Taylor Swift's entire album was covered by Ryan Adams. Higher Love was a version of Higher Love was released in 2019 by Whitney Houston, of course, posthumously. But I believe topped the charts there as well. Certainly did better than the original. Fast Car was destroyed by a man called Jonas Blue, who has regular top 10 hits, I gather, at the moment. And Love Somebody, of course, was on Adele's 21, that huge selling album, her version of it. Slowed right down. Did she do it justice? I'll leave you to decide. Right, I'll get to the last two before the rain completely drowns me out here. The Odd One Out, which of these did not win the Mercury Music Prize in the 2010s? Well, one of the best of them, in my opinion. It was Shedding Skin by Ghost Poet. Ghost Poet, who again, I would strongly suggest to you to check out. One of the great artists to come out in recent years, a number of superb albums to deal with in the 2010s. Do check him out. Psychodrome by Dave is also a terrific album. XX by the XX, again, right back in 2010, very good album there. Dead by Young Fathers, okay, I'd say, but Ghost Poet was robbed. And then finally, which of these was not in the NME top 3 albums of the 2010s? It was Mad City. For my money, even better than To Pimp a Butterfly in Kendrick Lamar's 2010s output. Yep, they voted, I believe, Yeezus third best, Melodrama second best, and AM as the best album of the 2010s. So AM must be up there, certainly. It's an incredible album. But there we go. So once again, I do hope you enjoyed it, and I do hope, please, you will donate to my Just Giving page and raise some more money for the wonderful young minds. I'll be back with another quiz, or another 2010s quiz, next Sunday. Please do keep taking part. Please, if you've enjoyed it at all, do pass on this to your friends, your Twitter family, everybody that you can. It will be lovely to get lots of people taking part in this so that we can really get some money going to young minds here and enjoy ourselves in this semi-lockdown period, depending really on where you are. I'm on a 14-day self-isolation at the moment, unfortunately, because of various people at the school I teach at. But there we are. Please follow me on Twitter, and please do feel free to give me feedback on how well you thought that went, and let me know which questions you liked, which you didn't, how well you did. And please do come back again. Thank you very much.